Today we're going to talk about General Winfield Scott and the invasion of Mexico. I'm going to be covering General Scott's invasion from the south, the siege of Veracruz, and the Battle of Cerro Gordo, the conflict between James Polk and Zachary Taylor, and Nicholas Trist in the Treaty of Guadalajara. The reason for conflict between Mexico and the United States was westward expansion. President James Polk wanted expansion and the annexation of Texas. Some people, even in the United States, didn't want that because they thought it'd just be more land for slavery, and some people opposed slavery. President Polk, James Polk, was the 11th president of the United States. He was a Democrat and had political allegiance and played a major role in the Mexican War, and he was from the state of North Carolina. In April 1846, Polk sent a patrol of U.S. troops north of the Rio Grande that were attacked and killed by Mexican troops. It sparked Polk, who already won the war of Mexico, went to Congress to ask for a declaration of war, which Congress granted and approved because of the bloodshed of our soldiers on our soil. President Polk called on General Zachary Taylor to lead his assault on Mexico. Zachary Taylor was a Whig candidate from the state of Virginia and would later become the 12th president of the United States. General Taylor led the initial charge, winning major battles in Monterey and Palo Alto. I won't go into that because someone else will talk about that in earlier. James Polk saw that General Taylor was gaining a lot of prestige with his wins in these major battles, but he was angered by that General Taylor gave too much truth to Mexico, allowing them to withdraw from the south. Seeing that, he called for General Winfield Scott. General Winfield Scott was also from Virginia. He was an unsuccessful Whig presidential candidate, though. He stood about 6'5" in stature and is said to be the tallest presidential nominee from any party ever. He was known as Old Fuss. He served the longest term as general in American history in the Army. He led the second major campaign in the Mexican-American War that was directed by President James Polk. He was directed to come from the south and siege Veracruz. The siege of Veracruz was a 20-day siege of the Mexican seaport. Captain Robert E. Lee was General Scott's captain, who had artillery placed around the city walls. At the siege of Veracruz, Mexican troops were led by Juan Esteban Morales, who had a force of around 3,300 soldiers. American forces outnumbered them and had 8,500. It took over 400 casualties, making it call for a ceasefire to occur. Plus, General Winfield Scott knew he had an uphill battle, for his next task was to take the city of Mexico City and go to the Battle of Cerro Gordo. So he raised the flag and became the governor of Mexico City. The next General Scott marched towards Mexico City for General Antonio Lopez Santa Anna. Santa Anna was known as Napoleon of the West because he was a dictator and he was a general of Mexico. He's president and general of Mexico. Battle of Cerro Gordo, the General Scott army used flanking tactics to drive out Santa Anna's larger army from the stronghold position. Captain Robert Lee found a trail that allowed General Scott out to outflank the Mexican army. Mexican troops, also over 1,000 men. The flanking movements by General Scott will also be essential to defeating Santa Anna. With the war well in balance, Polk called on Nicholas Trist to negotiate a treaty of surrender. The treaty of surrender would be done in secret, hopefully, but they caught wind of it, and General Scott was not pleased by this. Him and Nicholas Trist never seen eye to eye when he first got there, and there was a lot of conflict between the two men. They not got on first due to letters and people claiming it was jealousy. Everybody wanted to take credit for the end of the war. Eventually, Scott and Trist became friends. Nicholas Trist, he would enact something called the Treaty of Hidalgo, named for the Mexican village it was enacted in. The terms of the treaty claims Texas and everything above the Rio Grande will be United States. California and Mexico will also be United States, and we pay $15 million to Mexico, and their debt to us